Well, welcome back to TV 47 Game Plan 2022. Thank you so much for staying with us. We're about to talk about the country's legislative agenda. The National Assembly currently, members of the National Assembly are electing the deputy speaker of that particular house. Of course, Moses Wetangula, the former senator for Bungoma, has been elected as the speaker of the National Assembly. Earlier on, remember that Amason King, the former Kilifi governor, was also elected as the speaker of the Senate. And to help me discuss this legislative agenda in the country is Ndegwa Wahome, who is the chairman of the County Assemblies Forum. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here again, and also appreciate what is happening in the country. I think I was here some time back when I've been coming here. Nobody was very sure, or nobody believed that it would be where we are today. Okay. That His Excellency William Samoei Ruto would be the president-elect of this country. Okay. And that we would be inaugurating him on Tuesday. So I'm very, very happy here when I'm here. I wish really to congratulate him and His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua for the feat against all odds that where we are today. I was also, the whole day I was in the Senate and the National Assembly, and I've seen history happening. And I really am very happy, and I believe Kenya can only move forward, can only prosper.
And we're going to talk about that, about Kenya moving forward and Kenya prospering under the current dispensation of things. And of course, next to Ndegwa Wahome is Dudley Achiel, who's an advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana to the set, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu. Ndegwa, you were saying that you've been, you were witnessing events in the Senate live. Do you think it's a good thing that what is happening, the quote-unquote bulldozing of members of parliament to vote for a particular set of leaders in that house? Do you think it's going to be a good thing? We have the executive controlled by Kenya Kwanza, that is led by Deputy President and the President-elect William Ruto currently, as well as having a parliament that is controlled by Kenya Kwanza.
No, I think we are seeing a democracy in its total manifestation. Actually, I was very happy when I was sitting in the Senate, and I found that not less than 12 Azimio-orientated senators voting for Jeff Amason King to be the Speaker of the Senate. And this is despite the fact that the President of this Republic, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, yesterday was very categorical that Azimio should start with their own, and they should vote for their own. And then today, 12 of them defied him and voted for the best person to occupy the seat of the Speaker. And I think this is the time now. We said, as Kenya Kwanza, that freedom is coming. And today, I saw freedom has come into this country. That despite the PG yesterday, 12, and especially most of them were Jubilee members, nominated by Jubilee.
When you say the best person, voting for the best person of the Speaker of that House, define best.
Jefferson King.
On the background of knowing very well that he is the former county governor of Kilifi County.
Yes.
And everything that has happened in that county is out there in the public. I want you to define best.
Now, what I'm saying is that under Article 96, Senate protects devolution. It serves to serve counties and their people. And Jefferson King has seen all of this. He has been an MP, one of the youngest MPs in this country at 32 years. He has been a minister for East African Cooperation when he was below that 40. He has been a governor twice. And now he comes and he is the Speaker of the Senate. So what we are sure about, because me, as a person, as Ndegwa Wahome, I've been fighting for devolution in this country. I decided deliberately not to go for any other seat, to contest for the Speaker of Nyandarua so that I could be able to entrench devolution. I became the chair of the speakers of this country and the chair of the county assemblies of this country. And also you also appreciate that I'm the deputy president of the East African Local Government Association. So I know that with the King there, democracy can only get deeper and heavier in its entrenchment across the country and for the benefit of the counties of this country. There was no competition. for Jefferson Kingi, because I think Kalonzo Musyoka, he shoots in the darkness. When a person is not very clear about what agenda he has for this country or for himself, I don't think that will be the right person for the Senate. So, and that is why you can find that there was a convergence of ideas and inspiration across the two divides. And they came and voted for Jefferson Kingi, 100% of all the senators that were in that house. Those in KANU, those in ODM, those who in Wiper, all of them 100% voted for Kingi. And that kind of endorsement, I think this Kenya can only move forward. And
you are assuring us that no money did not exchange hands?
No, it is not possible. For we are hustlers. As Kenya Kwanza, we are hustlers. We speak to the issues that concern our people.
All right.
We speak to the concerns of this country. And we speak to the hopes of our people. Okay. And that is what is coalescing everybody around the Kenya Kwanza and our leader, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto.
Wakili, almost 10 years of devolution, some county chiefs with questionable character have vied, or rather have wanted to maintain power. Some coming from being governors and now into the Senate, one that is supposed to protect devolution. What are your views on that?
I think it's interesting what my senior's perspective is. And I think they better prove him right. Because if they don't, then I think we'll be back here after some time discussing, and we'll be telling him, you and I will be telling him, we told you so. So with that kind of control over the legislature and the executive, Kenya Kwanza has all it needs. I do not have expertise in politics the way he has, but now I think there should be no excuse. They better deliver on their agenda, beginning with the price of unga, which should come down immediately to, was it 260 or 100 shillings? So something of the sort. I had expected I could make a free call to the studio earlier on, but I found that I still need to pay. We'd been told there would be free calls and free Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the individuals who've moved on to other spheres of service, I think they perform different roles. Maybe they all serve devolution, but in different aspects. Senate allocates revenue and then oversights its expenditure. And so I hope that someone like Senator Kingi now, Speaker Kingi, should be able to guide senators to help devolution move forward. He knows where money is wasted, for example. He should give adequate leadership. And having been on the other side, sometimes maybe threatened with things like impeachment, he understands how it runs. He's been in the National Assembly as well. He's an experienced leader. And I hope that he'll remember that he's speaker for the Senate, not speaker of one side. I heard Umtata said that I vote for you not because I've moved to Kenya Kwanza, but because I believe you're the best, and I believe you'll be senator for all of us. That would be my entry point.
Back to you, Ndegwa. President Uhuru refusing to congratulate his deputy, despite many world leaders, heads of state, and so many world leaders congratulating Deputy President. What do you make of it?
It is actually unbelievable. I've even tried to consult political scientists and the people who have been in politics. Nobody can understand Uhuru Kenyatta today. Uhuru Kenyatta has been our beloved son, our beloved patriot, a person we have supported with everything that belongs to us. A person we thought that he works for the unity and the stability of this country. And a person who has defied both constitutional and independent institutions. The Uhuru Kenyatta we are seeing today is actually a stranger to this country. This is not the Uhuru Kenyatta I know. It's a person I've worked with very closely. I was the Secretary General of the National Alliance Party, taking charge of Laikipia and Nyandarua. And it is a Uhuru Kenyatta I would talk to from time to time. But the Uhuru Kenyatta of today, I cannot testify that this is the same Uhuru Kenyatta of 2013, 2014, 2017. I think that it will be a serious study on his personality by historians and even scientists what became of him, what befell him, because at the end of the day, I believe that although I thank him that he has agreed with handover, although he does not like it, he has castigated all the institutions in this country, all the way from the IBC, all the way to the Supreme Court. He has defied court orders. There are judges who are waiting to be sworn in. So really, I don't understand where he really wanted to take this country to. But fortunately, because of the 2010 Constitution, whether Uhuru Kenyatta, whatever direction would want to take this country, he has no capacity, he has no power. This country will be moved forward by the Constitution
but he's a Kenyan
and
citizen.
the laws that guide
He's a
this
Kenyan
country.
citizen who is capable of making his own choices. And there's a reason why he's made his own choices.
After he made it, and we accepted as Kenya Kwanza, and even the deputy president, the president-elect, said that he did not require to be supported by the president. But what we asked for, like myself, I have suffered under the hands of this administration by Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, the Nyandarua County Assembly was closed for 8 months. Just because I'm thought to be afraid of William Ruto. Just because Kimemia would go and sing lullabies and choruses for Uhuru Kenyatta. He was allowed to destroy a whole institution of a county assembly. Therefore, when we talk about being destroyed by this Uhuru administration, some of us have had personal experience about it. Therefore, what I would say is that it is very unfortunate. President Uhuru has set very poor and bad presidents. And I think that is why Justin Muturi went out of his way to go to Parliament and personally hand over to Moses Wetangula. And I will do the same once the first sitting of the Nyandarua County Assembly is convened, because I'm still the speaker to date until I hand over. Okay. I will go to my office and ensure that I hand over so that we can show Uhuru Kenyatta what requires to be done for this country. Because this country is full of us.
There's a connection between you not liking, the Kenya Kwanza side not liking Uhuru Kenyatta's choice of presidential candidate, and us seeing the former Speaker of the National Assembly, that is J.B. Muturi, going personally to hand over.
I think Justin Muturi was sending a message to Uhuru Kenyatta, how decent and hygiene in politics should be demonstrated. And I think all of us, most of us who appreciate democratic space and democratic principles, we are going to do that so that we can send a message to Uhuru Kenyatta and any other person who would want to conduct him or herself the way our president has done, that is not the right way, that this country is bigger than all of us, that we just ensure we respect our institutions, the Constitution and the rule of law, so that this country moves forward for ourselves, our children, and for posterity.
All right, and as you can see, those are live pictures on your screen. That is the National Assembly that is currently conducting the election to choose the next Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Speaker who is going to be the assistant to former Bungoma Senator, that is Moses Wetangula. Some divisions in that house right now, Wakili, and not just in that house, the country as well. William Ruto, according to the IBC, getting around 7 million votes, and Raila Odinga about 6.8, 6.9 million votes. That's almost half the voters who went out to vote. That shows like it's almost 50-50. What do you think that Ruto needs, the president-elect needs to do to unite the country so that those who did not vote for him also feel like they're part of national building?
I think he has his work cut out for him. For every 2 voters that went out to vote, 1 went the other side. The margin is quite slim, and that's the nature of our politics. And I had my colleague castigate the President Uhuru Kenyatta for refusing to congratulate President William Ruto. I haven't myself congratulated President William Ruto. I mean, what I mean to say is that the President has that choice. He's also an individual, he has his own individual choices.
He's a symbol of national unity. That's the difference.
He's no longer the president. He's a president waiting to hand over power. And the processes are ongoing constitutionally. 13th of September, we have the inauguration. The only thing we could say he's doing wrong is refusing to hand over the instruments of power. And he said he'll do so smiling. But he recognizes someone else as his leader. I mean, that's a personal choice. We can't really take it up with him for making that personal choice. the person on whose shoulders the burden of national unity now lies is one William Samoei Ruto. He's the president of Kenya going forward.
Okay.
So he's the one we need to look up to. He's the one we need to, ask questions of. And I think I didn't hear the implication that having Kenya Kwanza speakers in the National Assembly, trying to whip over Azimio MPs to the president's political side, and how that would work with oversight, because National Assembly needs to oversight the president.
Yes.
And you do not want to have a National Assembly where the president can get anything he wants. That's a mistake we made with JB Muturi as speaker. The security laws, which came to bite some of the people belonging to Mheshimiwa Ndegwa's political side.
Yes.
They passed that, and they passed it using force in parliament. Physical blows. So there's a bit of a false start in my view, in the sense that you now have a government that has a majority in both houses. Maybe it doesn't really need that majority, but it would allow bad things to happen. And it may not be so good for the country. That eagerness to have control of the executive, to have control of the legislature, we should be checking and balancing against the executive.
I think if you can allow me to interject on that, that is very worrying. In decent dispensations, democratic dispensations, the president who is leaving, President Uhuru Kenyatta, is still the president and commander-in-chief. That a person, through the expression of the will of the people of Kenya, is the president-elect, and President Uhuru Kenyatta does not recognize that person, and also castigates all the institutions that have ensured that we have had a democratic process. Kenyans across board, all the way from Nyanza to the coast, have appreciated that this was a good direction. You watch at I was watching TV 47 yesterday, in Bordo, in Kisumu. They are even saying they want William Ruto to go there, and I'd appreciate their problems. So we only have Uhuru Kenyatta, who does not appreciate what is happening in this country, who seems not to appreciate the matter and space around him, which is very unfortunate, and it can never be defended. It can never be justified. So what we are saying is that Uhuru Kenyatta is setting a very bad example for this country. He has punished us enough. He has kept me out of my office. He has had me tear gas and everything in Nyandaro to protect a criminal.
Like Wakili is
But
saying,
at the end of the day, now again, after we had an opportunity to tell him that he was doing the wrong thing, and we have done that overwhelmingly, he despises that. It despises us.
Let's
it is not fortunate, it is not fair, and it is not right. But we are saying, as Kenya Kwanza administration, we are going to allow Uhuru Kenyatta his peace, his space, but what he has done is not fair for this country, is not fair for himself, is not fair for our constitutional order, is not fair for democracy.
Let's move away from the small issue, and I'd call it a small matter of congratulating his successor, that is the president-elect, William Ruto. Let's talk about something that Wakili raises here, something quite important. Remember, during the first term of the Jubilee government, like he says, and it was out there in the public, it was almost almost a rubber stamp parliament that passed some laws that were a bit controversial. This is a president who's worked for over almost now 10 years. He knows the inner workings of how the legislative agenda is passed. And yesterday he was categorical that, you guys, come and show you how to be the strongest opposition. Why would you have an issue with such a person who really wants to check the current executive?
No, we have no problem. And we know he is the chairman of Azimio. He is the leader of opposition. And we welcome him. And to come and play the opposition politics. But obviously from history is that he failed in that role. When he came to, as the leader of opposition, he came to support the president in office. So we don't know how far he will be able to play this role. Okay. But what we are saying...
Hold on to that thought, Ndegwa. I want us to cross over to the National Assembly. Let's just hear into the Speaker of the National Assembly, that is Moses Wetangula. He seems to be making an announcement there right now.
Boss 198. Total number of valid votes cast, 337. Number of spoiled votes, 1. Abstentions, 0. 38.
Honourable members, the clerk having announced the final results of the vote, I declare the Honourable Gladys Chepkoskei Boss sorry for the excessive enthusiasm.
Honorable Speaker, from the results of the vote, no candidate has received the votes of 2/3 of all members as required under Standing Order 7.1, as read together with Standing Order 13.3. We should therefore now proceed to conduct a second round of election in order to determine the winner.
Point of order from the distinguished member, Honorable Farah.
Mr. Speaker, to begin with, I want to congratulate you for having been elected as the Speaker of the 13th National Assembly. Secondly, I want to thank all members who have participated in this election and who have also had the honor and the trust of their own electorates and be members of this 13th National Assembly. Thirdly, I also want to congratulate my worthy opponent, Gladys Boss-Sholei, who is a very good friend. This reminds me exactly 15 years ago when in this parliament, where you also a member at the time, similar thing happened, and I also had that time Gitobe Manyara as my opponent. And I'll do exactly what is noble and good. I have conceded the defeat in this case, the loss, and the Speaker can proceed and declare Gladys Boss-Sholei as the duly elected Deputy Speaker of the 13th Parliament. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, honourable members. We must salute the magnanimity and sportsmanship spirit of the Honourable Farah Maalim. Congratulations, Honourable Farah. You have served this House before in the capacity that you are seeking to serve again. Honourable members, the clerk having announced the final results of the vote, I therefore declare the Honorable Gladys Chepkoskei Boss, representative for Uasin Gishu County, duly elected as the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly in the 13th. I now request two honorable members of this House to locate, identify, escort, and introduce to me the Deputy Speaker-elect so that she may and subscribe to the oath of office of a Deputy Speaker. Here before me in the assembled House in accordance with the Constitution.
begin with the oath.
It's going to be not from this place.
I'm told the Honorable Father, you said the journey starts from the back. I am told, advised that your journey must start from the bar. Yes. So we may have.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor of introducing Honorable Gladys Boss-Sholei as the duly elected Deputy Speaker of the 13th Parliament.
Congratulations. Do you affirm or you swear for the Bible? Okay.
I, Gladys Bosch, having been elected as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, do swear in the name of the Almighty God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the people and the Republic of Kenya, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, that I will obey, respect, uphold, preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, and that I will do to all manner of persons in accordance with this Constitution of Kenya and the laws and conventions of Parliament without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. So help me God.
Congratulations. You may proceed and sign your oath of office.
Thank you.
Honorable members, order, you may resume your seats, those who are on your feet. Honorable members, we have now concluded with the business of the day. And I wish to bring to your attention Standing Order number 14.1, which states, after taking and subscribing to the oath or affirmation of office, under Standing Order 12, in brackets, swearing in of the Speaker shall notify the members of the place, date, and time of the opening of Parliament. Further, Article 132(1)(a) of the Constitution states as follows: the President shall address the opening of each newly elected Parliament. Therefore, honorable members, I shall communicate the date and time of opening of. In the meantime, I wish to reiterate that the induction of all members of this House, as announced earlier, shall be from Sunday, 18th September 2022 to 24th September 2022 at a hotel within Nairobi. Since today is an exceptional day for all of us, and in keeping with our customs, I invite all members to a modest speaker's cocktail at the rise of the House at the gardens at the Parliamentary restaurant. Members, the time being past 10:30, the House now stands adjourned until a date to be notified.
Well, those are live pictures from the National Assembly. Gladys Bolsholay has just been elected as the Deputy Speaker of the 13th Parliament. And of course, the House has adjourned. The Speaker of the National Assembly, that is Moses Wetangula, has adjourned the House to a later date. And as you can see right there on your screen, on that split screen, those are live pictures of members of Parliament making their way out of the chamber. Right here in studio, we're talking about the country's legislative agenda, and with me I have Ndegwa Home, who's the chair of the County Assemblies Forum, as well as Dudley Achiel, who's an advocate of the High Court. And before we went to the National Assembly for those live proceedings, there's something that you were talking about the president making his own personal choices and ensuring that there is a strong opposition in the country moving forward.
Yes, and maybe before I get to that, is that to congratulate Gladys Bolsholay.
Okay.
She really has been a leader and an inspiration in the Kenya Kwanza formation.
Yes.
And I think I had already earlier congratulated Right Honorable Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula, and also Jeffer Amason Kingi, and his deputy Kadhuri Murungi as the Deputy Speaker of the Senate. That said, I would want to say that we encourage His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta to come and offer the best opposition that he can, because we are studying for, we know that the authority we have been given as the government is quite overwhelming. But we also appreciate that we must demonstrate responsibility. We must demonstrate accountability. And maybe we are not able to see everything with our bare eyes, and that the opposition would help us to be able to achieve that. And His Excellency William Ruto has always said that when he joined Parliament in 1997, the first person who sat him down and to advise him on his legislative agenda was the then MP for Kabete, Paul Mwite. And he told him that if you love your government, if you love your leaders, ensure that you demonstrate constructive criticism. And that is the only way you are able to build yourself, and you build those authorities for service delivery to the people. Therefore, we encourage His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta to offer that opposition, but also to appreciate the simple things. And I think Kenyans are demonstrating these things. I don't know why we are leaving Uhuru Kenyatta behind. In the National Assembly, during the elections of the Speaker, when the opponent found that Moses Wetangula is winning, then what happened is that they withdrew and congratulated Moses Wetangula. That is Kennedy Marende, the most celebrated, one of the most celebrated speakers. Now you have seen Farah Maalim, the MP for Agdera, appreciating Gladys Bolsholay and actually congratulating her even before he has lost, and even escorting her to go and take the oath of office. This is the kind of politics that we would want. And actually for me, if I was a councillor or a counsel to Uhuru Kenyatta, would advise him that the politics that we want to play in this country, that they cannot accommodate his way of doing politics in this country. He is overtaken by events.
Okay.
Yes.
Wakili, I want us now to talk about something that I know you're very, very passionate about, and that is the Constituency Development Fund. It's from 2003 when the fund was introduced in the country. It has seen some, a few of changes here and there. The CDF 2013 Act, of course, repealing the CDF 2003 Act. And of course to curb corruption. What we've just seen right now on that floor of the House, do you think the promise by Deputy President, who's now the President-elect William Ruto, that he's going to return CDF to members of Parliament, do you think it has had any effect in the voting patterns?
I think I'm coming to that, but allow me to defend Uhuru Kenyatta a little bit. I rarely speak for him.
Okay, go ahead.
There's the other side of the coin. Mm-hmm. The president had a country which was divided in the middle in 2017 with drawn maps of Kenya and the People's Republic of Kenya. Mm-hmm. Secession was a reality.
Yes.
So he says okay, let's try and unite this country. Handshake, that offended some people, politics anyway. So that there's the other side, because for the first time we have people in places like Nyanza having a decent highway which is 2-lane, dual carriageway for the first time ever since independence. The Kisumu port, which had died, has now been revived. So there's that aspect. I think that caused some jitters in some areas, people saying that no, we voted for him but he's got new friends elsewhere. So there's also that other side of the what Uhuru Kenyatta did. That no one ever talks about that at all. But
let me just before you go ahead with that, don't you think those are people's taxes? Was it a favor that he was doing people? And is it a right thing really that the leadership in this country has to come with probably a leader dangling carrots to the electorate so that maendeleo can happen in the areas?
It shouldn't be that way. And that's one of the objects of devolution. And I think that's the kind of history that the president wanted to erase so that we move forward as one united country. He said it yesterday, if I heard him correctly, that we lost a chance to unite the country. I think this is the first election where you can divide the country into half, and then you have a bit of everyone on either side of the two main formations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk CDF. Do you think his promise that he is going to give it back to the members of Parliament has had any effect on the way they voted today?
Unfortunately, that's the first promise we will have to oppose, and oppose vehemently. On 8th of August 2022, just a few hours to the elections, the Supreme Court released a judgment in a case had argued, the CDF case, saying that legislators have no business managing funds, whether in the name of CDF or whatever else you call it, because their role is oversight, representation, and legislation. 3, managing funds, executing those functions is not part of their mandate. So when the President, William Ruto, meets MPs and the first thing he tells them is that CDF will be there, then it's a bit worrying for me. I found it worrying because the Supreme Court is the one that says what the law is. And once it says it, I thought the President would tell his members that, we need to comply with this Supreme Court judgment by repealing the NG-CDF Act, which is still there. The act which was removed by the Supreme Court is the CDF Act of 2013. But then when that issue was still pending, they passed the NG-CDF Act, which is just a change of name. The issues are the same. The principles offended are the same. Issues of separation of powers, public finance issues, division of functions, both vertically between the county and national government and across executive against legislature. So I found that promise of the CDF being there worrying.
So what happens to the projects? They are ongoing projects, and I understand they run into their thousands. So what happens to such projects if the court is just going to, put a halt to that fund?
2 issues. One, the NG-CDF Act is still there. There were 2 now, because the CDF Act was suspended, but then the Parliament passed the NG-CDF Act when the CDF Act was still within that 1 year. The High Court had given 1 year for conclusion of projects and things of the sort. And then the Court of Appeal said, no, that invalidation was not okay. So we had 2 acts operating side by side. the Supreme Court has now killed the CDF Act. So what I would expect Parliament to be doing now is to be winding up that fund, the NGCDF fund, because the case is in court. It comes up on 20th of September for mention to see what has happened in the CDF case. They should be winding up the fund. I do not expect Treasury to make any more allocations to it. If they're running projects, pending bills, let them be concluded, because that fund needs to go. And the ward development funds, which imitate the CDF at the county level, also need to go, so that this money goes to the executive, whether the national level or the counties, and it's spent there. And Parliament performs its role of oversighting the expenditure of those funds.
And lastly on this topic, because I understand the Act of 2013 was to repeal the one of 2003 to align the Act with the current constitution. Where are the loopholes? In your case that you're arguing before the court, where did you find the loopholes?
Number one, there's a question of division of revenue.
Okay.
CDF introduced a third hand to the table, because under the constitution, revenue raised nationally is shared between the national and county government, full stop. But CDF eats first of that. It takes the first bite of that. It says that, is it 0.25% of revenue raised nationally? First of all, goes to the CDF, meaning it reduces the shareable revenue left for sharing between the county and national government. That's one. Number two, under the constitution, it's the MPs who budget. They're the ones who appropriate. So they would appropriate this money to the CDF, go back to the constituency, spend it there, then come back and oversight its expenditure. It creates an untidy mess. And the Auditor General who audits these funds brings his report back to the National Assembly. Then you also had the issue of MPs appointing the fund managers and the CDF committee members, and then sitting in those committees as ex officio members or in whatever capacity. It creates that mud. And if you remember, the goal of CDF was to attempt fiscal decentralization. Engineer Karue's idea, I think that's someone Mheshimiwa Ndegwa will know. It was to try and bring some money to the grassroots.
Yes.
Way back in 97 or in around 2003, so that we now have devolution, which is the perfection of what CDF had been trying to do. We have money that goes to the counties, so we no longer have use for CDF. Yes.
Okay, maybe
Right.
if I
Go
can say something on CDF, I would say that CDF is the foundation of devolution, and actually that they supplement each other. Both the devolution, as we know it today under the 2010 Constitution, and the CDF Act of 2003. And I'm very happy and proud that the initiator of this, the brainchild of this, is our first senator for Nyandarua, Honorable Muriuki Karwe. And what I would want to say is that I don't see any contradiction. And I was very happy when the president-elect promised that he would support the agenda of the MPs to have this money. This is not any other country. It is a country that we are orientated around leaders offering services and responding to people's concerns. Laws are not made in vain. Laws are made so that they can be able to accrue and crystallize into something tangible that the people can appreciate.
Okay.
And in this case, the MPs only mobilize their constituents around the CDF so that they are able to get the right programs being addressed by the monies that come through CDF. And if you remember the BBI and why I supported it, although I was being fought that myself and the Deputy President, we wanted BBI to fail. Actually, I supported it because it was creating the Ward Development Fund. And therefore, it would have been a constitutional issue because it is addressing the concerns of the people. You know the problem with Kenya, we are very idealistic. We don't look at the concerns, at what really concerns and addresses our people's issues. So for me is that the MP has nothing to do with the CDF. Its role is mobilization of the people towards agendas that will address their concerns. And the the constituency fund managers, they are not appointed by the MPs. They are appointed by independent bodies. The MP has no role to play at all in these issues about management of the finances at the constituency level. His is merely to mobilize, as I have said repeatedly, the people around the areas of concern within the constituencies. And myself as the chairman of the county assemblies for us, we wanted even this to be brought down to the ward development fund, so that those people, the primary people that are addressed by our constitution, they are able to make decisions about their governance and about where the money goes to. And also we are able to address this mischief of governors and other executives taking money to where they think they have support and where they need support from, so that this creates equitability across board in this country. So I have read the judgment by the Supreme Court. Okay. I think they are just, I respect the Supreme Court, but I think the Supreme Court is not in touch with the feelings and aspirations of this country. And therefore, these ones we are going to support it. And we are going to support, to shout from the rooftops. We have seen what CDF money, 120 million per constituency is doing. In Nyandarua, I have not seen what 8 billion does with the governor. So this one we are going to defend it, and we are going to support it. Many praises. Many praises, but Nyandarua is... We've
seen devolution work in other counties.
It is like Makueni, it works. In Wajir, in the first dispensation, I know, and many other counties in Kakamega, I can see and identify. But we are saying that when these monies are getting to the people through various channels and addressing their concerns, I don't see any problem in that. Obviously, we are going to support CDF anytime, anywhere, so that we can be able to move this country forward.
Wakili here seems to have a crystal ball, and he's saying that we are off to a false start by what is happening in Parliament, both houses of Parliament, National Assembly and the Senate. Members seeming to have rallied behind the winning team, that is the Kenya Kwanza team. And we've seen some proposals online, and I wouldn't really argue or really vouch for their authenticity about the proposed cabinet that is going to work under the President-elect William Ruto. His 50% promise of having women in his cabinet, do you think it's realistic from where you sit?
It might work, it might not work. I think some of these things, you may make this kind of commitments, but at the end of the day, they might not work 100%. And we are human. Therefore, we cannot pretend that whatever we promise to do, that even when we are making our manifestos, we are not going to achieve 100% of those manifestos. So the the president-elect promised 50% women and 50% men. But I think if he does 30% in line with the Constitution, I think it would be good enough. The main and important issue is, I'm not speaking for him, but I'm saying that whatever he thought at that time might not work at this time. And in politics is dynamic. You deal with reality. We have brought in a lot of groups, interest groups, into the Kenya Kwanza Coalition. Those interests must be addressed for the benefit of this country. Because those who are coming into the coalition, they are coming carrying the aspirations of their people. And they must be able to answer to those aspirations of their people when within that coalition. And therefore, I am expecting that the president-elect is going to do what is right for this country. The other issue is about Parliament. There is nothing that Kenya Kwanza has done that would have required any criticism. We want constructive criticism to be able to move this country forward. If we do what is not right, we expect people to come up and tell us this is not right and why. When we do good, let this country move forward together. And that is the bottom line. And my learned junior here has talked about that the country is cut down the middle. We should not try to argue to be apologists about people who cannot accept reality. In America, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Trump won the collegiate vote. But still, Clinton conceded, and America moves on. Al Gore won the popular vote, and George Bush, with the collegiate vote, was able to rule America with Republican, fully and purely Republican administration.
Okay.
But Kenya, I don't want to mention names. Kenya, we don't have a problem.
All right.
The problem is individuals who cannot, in the past we are talking about an individual, now we are talking about two, who don't want to accept the reality. This Kenya, when people appreciate the principles of democracy and appreciate our constitution, this country, whatever the fault, we shall be able to rally around the winner and move this country
All right.
forward.
And Wakili,
Yes, sir.
and I can see you're smiling.
Yeah,
to respond, but success has many fathers.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
It's true.
And failure is an orphan. We're seeing a lot of people rallying behind Kenya Kwanza. Like he says, they're bringing on board a lot of people. Isn't this the same thing that led to the formation of positions like the chief administrative secretaries that were illegal by courts? Don't you think we might end up having a bloated government and creation of all these other positions that we are hearing flying around?
I think that's another court order that I hope my friend's side of the political divide intend to honor. The CIS position has been declared unconstitutional by the courts.
Yes.
I hope they'll keep that. But they owe women a promise for two reasons. When IBC had said that political parties must comply, it's UDA that went to court to stop the implementation of that. So they owe women a debt from that. And then they made an express promise, the Women's Charter, saying we'll give 50% of cabinet positions to women. If they don't honor it, it would make the rest of us worried. Because I think the opinion polls had suggested that most UDA supporters are women and young people.
Yes.
If they don't keep that promise, that gender promise, it's long overdue. It's a cash that Kenyan women have been trying to cash for so long, a check, I mean, that Kenyan women have been trying to cash for so long. It has matured, it's going to become stale. I hope they honor it and they give women their rightful place. Because even the issue of bottom-up economics, it's women who lie at the base of the economy. And you cannot pull an economy forward if you leave 50% of the population behind. And that half is women. I hope that my friend Mheshimiwa Ndegwa will speak to you, those who have the power to make those decisions, so that at least that gender promise is kept. Then we can wait and see and, say, no, these ones are difficult. But now there's that opportunity. There's a clean, is it 21 or 24 positions? And they're capable women.
Yes.
Who can fill those positions. I hope it will be given to them.
Well, let's hope Ndegwa here, our resident analyst, will speak to those in power.
Yeah, I believe that is a legitimate expectation, and all of us expect that it will happen. But I'm saying that this is a human architecture. Okay. Around all these charters about the gender parity in the cabinet. And we are hoping that with all these interests and with all the promise of the deliveries around the Hasra Fund, the Women Fund and all those issues, that we shall get the qualified people across the gender spectrum, so that we can have the 50-50. But at the end of the day, the main issue is service delivery to the people. We can put women there, 12 of them, but they are not able to deliver to the 30 million women of this country. And we can put 3 women there, and we put men there who can deliver to the aspirations, to the agenda for gender in this country. So all these things will have to be looked on globally and wholesomely, so that we make the best decision that will be able to move this country forward. Well,
thank you very much. Ndegwa Wahome, who's the chairperson of the County Assemblies Forum, and of course Dudley Achiel, who's an advocate of the High Court. We are talking about the country's legislative agenda. Minutes after Gladys Bos-Sholei, the Uasin Gishu member of Parliament, woman member of Parliament, has been elected as the National Assembly's Deputy Speaker, and she'll be assisting Moses Masika Wetangula, who is the former Senator of Bungoma, as the Speaker, who's been elected as the Speaker of that particular House. And thank you so much, viewer, for watching. This has been Game Plan 2022 on behalf of everyone who has made this a success, including my director, Emmanuel Inonda.